Arya Kim walked differently from other diplomats. Her steps were quiet. Her movements were careful. While other diplomats wore fancy, complicated clothes, she wore simple black suits. She looked young, but her eyes were old. They had seen things. The Proxima Coalition's junior diplomatic office was not an exciting place. Most days, it was full of boring meetings and long reports. But Arya was different. She liked finding interesting things. She liked looking for new ideas. When the report about Dr. Yoon Hara's research crossed her desk, most people would have ignored it. But not Arya. She read every single word. She looked at every single graph. She understood what most diplomats did not. This was something special. She remembered her grandfather's stories. How humans were always underestimated. How humans always surprised everyone. Her grandfather fought in the first space conflicts. He told her that humans were like small animals. They looked weak, but they were strong. Arya made a call, not an official call, a quiet call. "I need more information," she told the Research Communication Center. Her voice was calm, clear, professional. The next day, a complete file arrived on her computer. It contained everything about Hara's quantum communication research. Most of it was technical. Most of it was complicated. But Arya understood. This was big. She started making connections. Quiet connections. The kind diplomats make when they don't want anyone to know they are making connections. A message here, a conversation there. Small talks with scientists from different alien civilizations. She was careful. Very careful. The Proxima Coalition was strange. It was a group of different alien species that worked together. They liked new ideas. They liked things that were different. And they were always looking for something that could change everything. Arya knew this could be that thing. She wrote a report, but not an official report. A special report. The kind that goes to very important people. The kind that makes things happen. Her report was simple. "Human researchers have discovered something big," it said. "We should pay attention." Most diplomatic reports were long, complicated, full of big words. Arya's report was different. It was short. It was clear. It told the truth. In the diplomatic world, that was rare. Days passed. Weeks passed. Arya waited. She knew good things take time. She knew important discoveries don't happen quickly. Her bosses started asking questions. "What is this research?" They would say, "Why should we care?" Arya would just smile. A small smile. The kind of smile that told people she knew something they did not. One evening, as the sun set over the Proxima Coalition's main building, Arya looked at the file again. The quantum communication research. Dr. Hara's work. She knew this was important. She didn't know how important. Not yet. But she would find out. The diplomatic world was about to change. And Arya Kim would be the one to help make that change happen. Sometimes, the most important things start with a simple piece of paper, a simple report, a simple idea. And this was one of those times. The last week before the test was crazy. Crazy in a way only scientists understand. Dr. Yoon Hara's research station looked like a mess. Papers covered every surface. Computer screens showed endless lines of code. Machines made strange noises. The smell of burnt coffee and electronic parts filled the air. Jae-sung hadn't slept in 3 days. His eyes were red. His hand shook when he held coffee cups, but his brain was working faster than ever. "We can do this," he kept saying. Not to anyone special, just to himself. Min Ki had taken apart and rebuilt their quantum communication device 17 times. 17 complete rebuilds. Each time, he made tiny changes, tiny improvements, things most people would never notice. Yoon-ji's computer screens never went dark. She wrote code so fast her fingers looked like they were dancing. Complex mathematical equations appeared and disappeared. She was finding solutions to problems that didn't even exist yet. Dr. Hara was different. She looked calm. Too calm. While her team looked like they were falling apart, she seemed perfect. Her hair was neat. Her clothes were clean. But her eyes showed something else, something intense. The test was simple, but not really simple. They would try to send a message across 1,500 light years, through the Orion Nebula, a place full of strange energy, a place that broke most communication systems in seconds. The entire scientific community would be watching. Every alien species, every research group, everyone. Most people thought they would fail. The day of the test arrived. It was quiet, too quiet. Their quantum communication device looked strange. It was a mix of metal boxes, strange wires, and glowing blue panels. It didn't look like something that could change everything. "Ready?" Hara asked. Everyone nodded. Jae-sung checked the first set of calculations. Min-ki made sure the hardware was perfect. Yeon-ji prepared the communication protocols. The message was simple, just a few words, but those words could change everything. "We are here. We are listening." The machine started to hum, a soft sound, different from other sounds, something special. Minutes passed, slow minutes. Everyone held their breath. The first signal came back. Weak at first, then strong. "We hear you." The room exploded with sound. Jae-sung started laughing. Min-ki jumped up and down. Yeon-ji's computer screens filled with celebration messages. Dr. Hara just smiled. They had done the impossible. A message sent across 1,500 light years, through the most difficult part of space, in perfect clarity. No one had ever done this before. Outside, Europa's icy surface stayed the same. Jupiter continued to spin in the sky. But inside the research station, everything had changed. Science had just taken a massive leap forward, and humans had made it happen. 1 year after their breakthrough, everything was different. The new research center was huge. It sat on the edge of a human colony, looking out over a planet that was half built, half desert, half promise. Machines worked day and night, turning rocky ground into something that could support life. Dr. Yoon Hara's quantum communication system had changed more than just science. It had changed how different species talked to each other. Before, communication between alien civilizations was slow, really slow. Messages could take years to travel between star systems. Diplomats would send messages and wait for months, wait for years. Sometimes, by the time a message arrived, everything had changed. Now, everything was different. The Triaxian Conclave could talk to the Orion Syndicate in seconds. Not hours, not days, seconds. Conflicts that would have taken years to solve could now be fixed quickly. Scientists from different planets could share research instantly. A discovery made on one side of the galaxy could be known on the other side before the day ended. Arya Kim had become an important diplomat. She was the one who helped make these connections work. She understood how important this technology was. "Communication is more than just sending words," she would say. "It's about understanding." The research team had changed too, but they were still the same people inside. Jae-sung now taught at the top space university. He took complex ideas and made them simple. Students loved him. He could explain quantum physics like he was telling a story. Min-ki had a new lab, a big lab. He was already working on the next communication system, always looking forward, never stopping. Yeon-ji worked with diplomatic groups. She helped translate not just words, but meanings, how different species thought, how they understood things. Dr. Hara was different. She didn't want to be a famous scientist. She wanted to solve problems. She wanted to help people. The first big test came with a conflict between two alien species. They had been fighting for hundreds of years. Communication was impossible. They didn't understand each other. Hara's system changed everything. Diplomats could now talk in real time. They could hear each other's voices, see each other's reactions, understand each other's feelings. The conflict didn't end immediately, but it started to change. Other technologies started to develop. Medical research went faster. Space exploration became easier. Cultural exchanges happened more quickly. Humans were no longer seen as the youngest species. They were seen as problem solvers, as people who could think differently. The research center became a meeting place. Species from all over the galaxy would come to learn, to talk, to understand. Krelax, the Triaxian ambassador who once laughed at Hara, now brought his young scientists to visit. Learn from them, he would tell them. Learn how to think differently. On the walls of the research center, there was a simple saying, a saying that everyone could see. Impossible is just a word, until someone proves it wrong. And they had proved it wrong. Not with big weapons, not with huge ships, but with ideas, with hard work, with belief. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Technological Council was not a friendly place. It was a cold room full of cold people. Aliens from hundreds of different worlds sat around a massive round table. Some were big, some were small, some looked like machines, some looked like living plants. But they all had one thing in common. They all thought humans were not important. Today was different. Today, they had a special meeting, a challenge meeting. The head of the council was a creature called Zorn. Zorn looked like a mix between a tall tree and a computer. His body was made of shiny metal and green plant material. When he spoke, it sounded like wind moving through leaves. "We have a challenge," Zorn said. His voice was calm, careful. The room went quiet. Everyone listened. Dr. Yunhara claimed her quantum communication system works. Zorn continued. "We will test this claim. We will make it hard. We will make it impossible." Some delegates started laughing. They thought this was a joke. The challenge was simple, but not really simple. Not for most scientists. Hara had to prove her quantum communication system could work across the Orion Nebula. This was not an easy task. The Orion Nebula was huge. It was massive. It was filled with strange energy. Most communication systems would break in seconds. The distance was over 1,500 light years. No communication system had ever worked across such a distance. Not in the history of known space. Not for any species. The rules were clear. Hara would have one chance. One try. If she failed, her research would be forgotten. If she succeeded, everything would change. Some delegates wanted her to fail. They smiled mean smiles. They hoped she would make a mistake. The Triaxian ambassador, Krelax, was the happiest. He knew no human could do this. Humans were young. Humans were new to space travel. Humans were babies in the big universe. "This is impossible," Krelax said. His voice was loud, proud. But some delegates were different. Some were curious. Some wanted to see what would happen. Arya Kim sat in the back of the room. She watched. She listened. She knew something others did not know. The challenge was announced. The details were shared. Every scientific group in the galaxy would be watching. Dr. Hara would have 3 standard months to prepare. 3 months to make something that seemed impossible. Most people would give up. Most people would say it was too hard. But Hara was not most people. Her team at the Europa Research Station would work day and night. They would push their technology to the limit. They would do something no one thought was possible. Outside the meeting room, the galaxy continued to spin. Stars moved. Planets turned. Galaxies drifted. But inside this room, something big was happening. A challenge had been made. A challenge that would change everything. The news spread fast, faster than any communication system before. Within hours, every scientific group in the galaxy knew what had happened. Humans had done something impossible. They had sent a message across 1,500 light years. Perfectly, clearly. The Triaxian conclave was the first to react. Krelax, the same ambassador who had laughed at Hara months before, now looked different. His metal-like skin seemed to change color. His 4 arms moved nervously. "How?" he asked. Just one word, but it meant everything. Research centers across different planets started calling. They wanted to know everything. How did the humans do it? What was their secret? Dr. Yoon Hara became famous overnight. But she didn't care about fame. She cared about science. Her team was different now. They weren't just researchers anymore. They were something more. Jae-sung started getting calls from top universities. They wanted him to teach, to explain how they made their breakthrough. He was shy about it. He didn't like attention. Min-ki was already thinking about the next machine, the next improvement. His brain never stopped working. While others celebrated, he was drawing new designs. Yeon-ji found herself explaining complex quantum physics to people who didn't understand science. She was good at making complicated things simple. She could explain hard ideas in ways everyone could understand. The Proxima Coalition made the first official move. They wanted a meeting, a real meeting, not just a video call. They wanted to talk in person. Arya Kim was there when the first proposal came. She smiled, a small smile. The kind of smile that knew something big was happening. Research grants started flowing. Not just small grants, big grants. The kind of money that could build entire research centers. The Orion Syndicate, which had laughed at Hara before, now wanted to work with her. They sent official messages, polite messages, messages that said they were sorry for not believing before. Hara read these messages. She didn't get angry. She didn't celebrate. She just kept working. Her team moved to a new research center, the big center, with better machines, better computers, more space to work. But they were the same team. They hadn't changed inside. News programs talked about them. They showed pictures of the team, pictures of the quantum communication device. Everyone wanted to know their story. Some people called it luck. Some called it genius. Some said it was impossible. But Hara and her team knew the truth. It was hard work. Nothing more. Nothing less. Days turned into weeks. The initial excitement started to slow down. But the important things remained. They had changed how communication worked. They had shown that humans could do big things. They had proved that being young didn't mean being weak. The galaxy was different now. Communication would never be the same. And it all started with 4 humans who didn't give up, who believed in science, who believed in themselves. The conference hall was massive, with high ceilings that seemed to touch the stars. Rows of strange chairs filled the space, each designed for a different alien species. Some were tall and thin, others were short and wide. Lights from holographic displays cast weird colors across the room, making everything look unreal. Dr. Yoon Hara stood at the center of this alien world. She was small compared to the massive creatures around her, but her eyes burned with a fire that couldn't be ignored. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight ponytail, and her blue research uniform was crisp and clean. She looked professional, but right now, she felt anything but confident. This was the Galactic Scientific Summit, the most important meeting of researchers from across the known universe. Delegates from hundreds of alien civilizations had gathered to share their latest discoveries. Most of them were massive, complicated creatures with technology far beyond what humans had developed, and most of them thought humans were nothing more than babies in the great universe of science. Hara's presentation began. Her fingers moved across the holographic control panel, bringing up complex diagrams and mathematical equations. She was talking about a new way of communication, something that could change everything. Her research promised instant communication across impossible distances using something called quantum entanglement. The alien delegates didn't look impressed. Krellax, the Triaxian ambassador, was the first to laugh. He was a massive creature, standing almost 3 meters tall, with skin that looked like polished metal and 4 arms that moved like tentacles. When he laughed, it sounded like breaking glass mixed with a low rumble. Humans and their silly dreams, Krellax said, his translator making his voice sound mechanical and cold. Another impossible idea from a species that doesn't understand real science. Around him, Other aliens started to join in. Some chittered, some clicked, some made sounds that no human throat could ever produce. But they all communicated the same message. Hara was a joke. To her credit, Hara didn't move. She didn't show any emotion. Years of research had taught her to be strong. Years of being told she was wrong had made her tough. She knew her research was good. She knew her numbers were right. The presentation continued. More diagrams, more complex equations, more proof that her communication method could work. But the laughter grew louder. A delegate from the Orion Syndicate raised a tentacle. "Young human," he said, "your mathematics are cute, but they are nothing compared to what we have already developed." Hara took a deep breath. She had expected this. Scientists from other civilizations always looked down on humans. They saw humans as a young species, still learning, still making mistakes. But Hara knew something they didn't. Her research was different. Her research could change everything. As the presentation ended, the room was filled with more mockery than serious scientific discussion. Delegates whispered to each other, pointing and laughing. Some didn't even try to hide their disrespect. But Hara wasn't beaten. Not yet. She gathered her equipment, her hands moving carefully. Each piece of technology was something she had worked on for years. Each device represented countless nights of research, countless failed experiments, countless moments of doubt. Outside the conference hall, the alien city was a blur of strange colors and impossible shapes. Flying vehicles moved between massive buildings that seemed to touch the sky. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked the streets, going about their daily lives. Hara knew she was different. She knew her research was different. They might laugh now, but they wouldn't be laughing forever. Her story was just beginning. Europa Research Station looked nothing like people imagined. It wasn't a clean, perfect space like in old science fiction movies. Instead, it was a messy collection of metal buildings stuck together, sitting on the icy surface of Jupiter's moon. Cold winds from the moon's surface constantly howled outside, making the metal buildings creak and groan. Dr. Yoon Hara walked into her research center, her boots making soft sounds against the metal floor. The room was filled with computers, strange machines, and holographic displays that flickered with complex data. 3 people looked up as she entered, her entire research team. Jae-sung was the first to speak. He was a tall, thin man with glasses that seemed too big for his face. "How bad was it?" he asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were worried. Hara dropped her bag on a nearby table. "As expected," she said simply. They laughed. They always laugh. Min Ki, the engineering expert, was already working on a complex machine that looked like a mess of wires and metal boxes. He didn't even look up when Hara spoke. His fingers moved quickly, connecting tiny circuits and checking connections. "We know the math is right," he mumbled. "We know the science works." Eun-ji, their computer specialist, was different. She looked up from her screen, her face serious. "The Triaxian ambassador," she said. "He was particularly nasty today." Hara nodded. She walked to the large window that looked out over Europa's icy landscape. Jupiter hung in the sky, massive and beautiful. Its swirling storms looked like massive paintings, colors spinning and moving. The view always calmed her. "We're not going to give up," Hara said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. The team knew what this meant. They had been working together for years. They had seen other projects fail. They had watched other researchers give up. But not them. Not this time. Jae-sung brought over a cup of coffee. It was terrible coffee, the kind that came in packets and tasted more like chemicals than actual coffee. But on a research station on Europa, you took what you could get. "Our quantum communication model is different," he said, spreading out some papers on the table. The papers were covered in complex equations and diagrams. To most people, they would look like nonsense. To this team, they were a roadmap to something incredible. Min Ki walked over, his latest machine humming softly. "We've solved the stability problem," he said. "The quantum entanglement can now maintain connection for almost 3 full minutes." This was big news. Most quantum communication attempts lasted only seconds before falling apart. 3 minutes might not sound like much, but in the world of quantum physics, it was like an eternity. Yunji was typing quickly, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Lines of code appeared and disappeared on her screens. "I'm running new simulations," she said. "We can improve this. We can make it better." Hara looked at her team. They were young. They were ambitious. They didn't care about what other scientists thought. They cared about proving something. Outside, Europa's icy surface stretched for kilometers. Jupiter's massive shape filled the sky. Inside the research station, 4 humans were about to change everything they knew about communication. They didn't need the alien delegates to believe in them. They only needed to believe in themselves. The work continued. The machines hummed. The data flowed. Their real journey was just beginning. 6 months passed. 6 long, hard months of work that seemed to never end. The research team lived inside their tiny research station. Days blended into nights. Nights blended into days. They stopped counting hours. They only counted data points and experiment results. Jae-sung had stopped shaving. His beard grew wild and messy. Dark circles formed under his eyes. But his eyes were bright. They were always bright when he looked at the new data. Min-ki had taken to wearing the same blue jumpsuit for weeks. He would only change when Eunji complained about the smell, but he didn't care about clothes. He cared about machines. Eunji lived on coffee and energy bars. Her computer screens never went dark. She wrote lines of code faster than most people could read. Her fingers moved like they were dancing across the keyboard. Dr. Yunhara was different. She looked calm. Too calm. While her team looked like they were falling apart, she seemed perfect. Her hair was always neat. Her clothes were always clean. But inside, she was working harder than anyone else. One cold morning, everything changed. The machine they had been building for months suddenly made a different sound. It wasn't the usual hum. It was something else. Something special. "Stop," Hara said suddenly. Everyone froze. Jae-sung was in the middle of drinking coffee. Min-ki had a screwdriver in his hand. Yunji's fingers were halfway through typing a line of code. "Listen," Hara said. The machine made the sound again, a perfect, clean tone. Like a musical note, but not quite. Something between a sound and a signal. "We did it," Jae-sung whispered. The quantum communication device had just done something no device had ever done before. It had created a stable quantum communication channel that lasted more than just a few seconds. Eunji ran some quick tests. Her computer screens filled with numbers and graphs. Each graph showed something amazing. The quantum connection was stable. It was strong. It was real. Min-ki started checking the machine. He opened panels. He looked at circuits. He tested connections. Everything looked perfect. "How long?" Hara asked. Eunji looked up from her screen. 3 minutes and 27 seconds, she said. And the connection is still strong. Most people wouldn't understand how big this was. 3 minutes of stable quantum communication meant everything to scientists like them. It meant they had solved a problem that other scientists had been trying to solve for hundreds of years. Jae-sung started laughing. It was a weird laugh. A laugh that came from being tired and excited at the same time. Min-ki joined him. Then Eunji. Soon the entire research station was filled with their crazy, happy sounds. Dr. Hara just smiled. She knew this was just the beginning. Outside, Europa's icy surface stayed the same. Jupiter's massive shape continued to spin in the sky. But inside the research station, something big had just happened. They had broken a barrier that other scientists thought was impossible. The quantum communication prototype worked. And nobody, not the Triaxian ambassador, not the Orion Syndicate, not anyone, could tell them it was impossible anymore. Science had just changed forever. The Galactic Innovation Award ceremony was not like other ceremonies. It was big, really big. Aliens from hundreds of different worlds filled the massive hall. Some were tall, some were short, some looked like machines, some looked like living clouds. Dr. Yoon-hara stood on the stage. She looked small, but she didn't feel small. Behind her stood her team. Jae-sung, Min-ki, Yeon-ji. They were more than just colleagues now. They were family. Zorn, the head of the Galactic Technological Council, stepped forward. His body was part tree, part machine. When he moved, it was like watching a forest walk. Today, Zorn said, we recognize something special. The entire hall went quiet. Krelax, the Triaxian ambassador who once laughed at Hara, was sitting in the front row. He looked different now. His metal-like skin seemed to shine with respect. Arya Kim watched from the side. She was the one who first believed in Hara's research. She was the one who helped make this moment possible. Humans have done something impossible, Zorn continued. They have changed how we communicate, how we understand each other. Hara remembered the first time she presented her research, the laughs, the mockery, the people who said she was crazy. Now those same people were giving her an award. Zorn held up a small device. It looked like a crystal, but it was more than that. It was the highest scientific honor in the galaxy. Dr. Yoon-hara, Zorn said, you have changed everything. Hara stepped forward. She didn't make a long speech. She didn't talk about herself. Instead, she talked about her team. Science is not about one person, she said. It's about people working together, believing in something bigger than themselves. Her team smiled. They knew what she meant. The audience started clapping, but it wasn't normal clapping. Different species made different sounds. Some hummed, some made clicking noises, some created light waves, but they all meant the same thing: respect. Outside the ceremony hall, the galaxy continued to spin. Stars moved, planets turned, but something was different now. Communication was different. Understanding was different. Hara thought about her journey. The long nights, the failed experiments, the people who said she was wrong. She thought about her grandfather. He always told her that humans were like small animals. They looked weak, but they were strong. He was right. As she walked off the stage, her team around her, she knew this was not the end. This was just the beginning. More discoveries would come. More challenges would appear, but they would face them together. The galaxy had learned something important. Never laugh at someone with a dream. Never say something is impossible, because humans might just prove you wrong. And they would do it with science, with hope, with belief.